In Rossville, a trio of scammers have been reported knocking on doors posing as newspaper salespeople. They are not. They're using it as an excuse to break into people's houses and steal items from their garages, according to members of the neighborhood. The police say if someone is acting aggressive on your doorway, lock the door and call the police. A new wrongful death lawsuit is being filed against Durham School Services and the Hamilton County School System and the Director of Transportation. The suit is filed by Demetrius Wilson, which says that her child suffered multiple serious injuries in the Woodmore bus crash and died 2 days later. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Gradually drying out through your afternoon with some sunshine trying to move in as well. Highs upper 70s. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows 53 to 55. For Friday, lots of sun, warm highs near 85, upper 80s, almost summer-like Saturday, a slight chance of a late storm. Are you hungry? Stop into KFC today for an extra crispy $20 fill-up. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Now at participating KFCs, prices may vary, taxes and substitutions extra. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Wow, I feel good.
Well, good morning, Chattanooga. This is Thomas DeMoss, and this is the Reality Real Estate Show, where we talk about all things real estate, and specifically about the things that are going on in our Chattanooga real estate market. So we're glad you guys joined us once again. I've got my co-host, Wally Reese, here with me. Wally, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hello, everybody out in the radio world. It's good to have y'all here on a rainy. Well, it used to be rainy. It was this morning. It's supposed to clear up this afternoon, though. But, hey, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys joining us. So we try to stay upbeat, obviously try to educate you guys, entertain a little bit. But I do want to start out a little bit on a somber note. We had a good buddy of mine who passed away unexpectedly Saturday night. It was some very, very unexpected news. His name was Randy Payne. I don't know if you guys out there listening may know him, but just want to give you guys some information about that. We're actually having a memorial service tonight at Hickson Presbyterian Church. And for those of you who may or may not have known Randy, Randy was a giver, man. He had a heart of gold. And right now what has happened is Randy left behind his wife and two small children. And we are trying to do everything we can to take care of them and make sure that they receive the help that they need. Randy's wife is disabled, and Randy was the primary provider and caregiver there. So he left a big hole in that family. But as Wally and I know, God's plan is perfect, and everybody's going to grow from this, and we're going to see good come out of it. But there is a Facebook page set up. It's called Comfort the Pains, and if you guys would like more information on that, we would certainly appreciate you checking it out. Once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss, and my cell phone number is area code 423-364-0028. So once again, if you guys wanted more information on how to help the Payne family out, give me a call. Be more than happy to point you guys in the right directions. But anyway, and on that note, let me just see if I can turn around for a positive. I tell you what, since Saturday night, my wife and I have just talked, and it has encouraged us just looking back on Randy's life and knowing that I don't think he wasted a minute of it. And that has really challenged me to be the best person that I can be and really approach every day and live life to its fullest. I know we complain and we have setbacks and things don't always go our way, but it is important to appreciate every day. So definitely want to do that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Thomas, but I think it's interesting to look at, we don't know why things happen in life. They happen for a reason. And just when you were talking about the website y'all set up, it kind of gave me a few little tingles just because we don't know. But there is comfort out there through friends, through church, through God. There is that comfort there. And, here again, we just don't know why
Yeah.
things happen, but they do. And God knows what's going to happen this afternoon, tomorrow, and next week. And he knows how that this gentleman's wife family going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. And it's definitely an encouragement to them to see everybody rally around. It's been neat. I tell you what, I've shed more tears in the last couple of days than I've done in a long time, but God has used this experience in my life to grow me. And I've seen a lot of impact that he's made in other people's lives. So once again, the Facebook page is Comfort the Pains, or you can contact me. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. If you guys want to get any more information about how to help that family out, we certainly do appreciate it. So, well, Wally, let me see if I can change gears. I don't know if there's much of a segue from there, but going back into the real estate market, once again, I do sound like a broken record. I guess this being a radio station, that's the perfect analogy, but got some stats for you guys for March. So let me just read them here. We tell everybody the market is super hot. As an agent with Keller Williams Realty, Greater Downtown, I see it. I think I listed 9 houses in the past 2 weeks, and I think I have 3 of them under contract, and they went under contract in less than a day. So it is.
What do you think the reason for that is?
There's no houses out there. So whenever they come on the market, people are snapping them up, and the areas are. I had one in Red Bank that went really, really fast. And, but there's just no houses. So if you put something out there, people are desperately looking for places to buy. We've got more new families coming into the area, and there's really just nothing out there.
You think there's any specific areas that they're looking into, or is it just the fact of having a good house that nothing needs to be done to it and move in ready? Yeah.
There are some of those hot areas. I mean, this house was in Red Bank, and I'm seeing anything in Red Bank goes really, really quickly. On the last show, we had the mayor of Red Bank, John Roberts, here, and he kind of told what his vision was for the city. I think that they've done a really good job over there. The Red Bank area, the North Chattanooga, the South Side on Main Street is just really tremendous right now. So yeah, and where we're working, doing some projects, the Highland Park and the Orchard Knob area, those folks, there's a lot of folks that are wanting to move down in there. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's good. It's good to know that there's, your lack of inventory. There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, that's just, that is an increase in the market, not created by what was done before in the early 2000s, as far as the mortgages go. Talking with a good friend of mine who's a lender, and they said, the mortgages rates might be going up slightly, but not enough to really care. But people are still out buying houses just because there is lack of inventory.
Absolutely. So let me just give you guys some stats really quick here to put some numbers on it. So this is interesting. These are March statistics. So the average days on market for a house was 70 days. So you're talking a little over 2 months for a house to stay on the market. Now that's the average, but that's down 4.1% from this time last year in March. That's an impressive number. This is probably the most impressive. The median sales price year over year from March this year to March last year is up 19.2%. That's incredible. So
now's a good time to be selling.
Now's a great time to be selling. But then you got to find something to buy. So we went from last year, March, at 146,000 to this year's March, where the median sales price was 174,000. So those are some incredible statistics, and I think it's going to continue. I don't really see any economic indicators on the horizon that would change that. You mentioned the interest rate that could possibly tick up. It has increased slightly, but that's not really slowed things down because we're still facing that supply deficit. So absolutely,
there's a lot of new construction going on as well. One of the things I do on a month, I dive at the aquarium, which is a great opportunity. And I want to just give a quick shout out to the aquarium for 25 years of great service. I've been there since 2003 as one of the divers. It's a great experience. Come down and join us. But I've got a good friend of mine that works with a competitor here in town, and they work up in the Ooltewah-Appleton area. And we were chatting yesterday at lunch about the different builders that he knows who have just purchased property. They've been adding property to what they already have, and they're starting some fairly significant projects on new construction up in the Appleton-Ooltewah area. And I said, are you going to see any issues with potentially selling those properties? He said, well, they can't build them quick enough.
And that's true. Ooltewah is, I talked to another client yesterday about the Ooltewah area, and was, you've got the downtown environment, yes, but in the suburbs, so to speak, Ooltewah, Collegedale, those were areas that came on fast because of the schools. The schools out there are historically better, and that's where people are trying to put their families. So yeah, you're right, and they are building like crazy out there. Collegedale is now one of the most sought after retirement communities in the country. I mean, they're building apartments out there like crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of activity going on.
Well, the community over off of Cassandra Smith Road, I can't recall the name of it right now, but they started a whole new neighborhood, so to speak, in addition to what they already had.
Yes.
And driving through there, every house you go to, everyone you drive by has sold.
Right.
It sold before they even started construction on those properties. And that says a lot for the market and what's going on right now.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot of neat things going on with builders. I mean, I know you've got your big builders that are out there. Then you've got some, I would say, newer, younger builders that are focusing on the downtown area and the style of house that they're doing. I know Collier's doing a lot of stuff in North Chattanooga with some of the rooftop patio homes, which is really, really neat.
Right.
That's going to be impressive. But really, I think what we're seeing is these houses are being built around a lifestyle. And what we talked about, kind of the areas that we are working in and renovating houses, the Highland Park, the Orchard Knob, that lifestyle incorporated a front porch.
That's right.
And a lot of that's coming back. People are actually getting outside of their house anymore. There's more community involvement. So
you have to, because I know back when I was working doing the Reunion neighborhood out in East Brainerd, it was a traditional neighborhood. And one of the things that we used to tell people when they were coming to look at our properties was that what we're bringing back is that front porch. Because what happened to not just Chattanooga, but what happened to America is that people got rid of the front porch. The days of coming up and, hey, let's sit down and have a glass of tea in the afternoon and, let's just enjoy conversation and find out who your neighbors are, is kind of a thing of the past. And I would venture to ask people in the out listening to us right now, do you know your neighbor on your right, your neighbor on your left, your neighbor across the street, the neighbor behind you? Do you know them? Where you can just go knock on their door.
Absolutely.
And I would venture, I doubt that very few do.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Yeah. There you go. While he's challenging himself to go introduce himself to his neighbor. It's great to know your neighbor. I think, those are the people that you live with. You could share some great stories, some great life events. That's true. But let's do this, Wally. I know you and I've got a lot of things going on right now. A couple of things that we've got 2 projects that we're working on, and they are quite significant. We've got one here in Hickson that we have nicknamed the Burned House. Why don't you tell folks, a little bit about that house? What's the story behind it, and then what are we planning on doing to that property?
Well, it's a very interesting project because we had a fellow that lives across the street that Thomas and I both know called us up and said, "Hey, we've got a house across from us that was burnt. Are y'all interested?" And I was interested, Thomas was, but I thought we'd never done a burn house before. But it was unfortunate because the lady had gone to Walmart like at 2:00 in the morning. She was not elderly, but that was the best time for her to go. And she came back and the house was on fire. Well, after several months of them dealing with the insurance and the mortgage and all that, it finally came available for somebody to purchase. Now, during that process, the house was actually condemned by the city of Chattanooga. It was considered unfit for human
habitation.
Habitation. I was going to say consumption, but that was not the right word. But so when you have a condemned property, everything in that house has to be brought up to code. You can't do a little bit here, a little bit there. Everything has to be brought up to code. And what that means is that we have to put in all new plumbing, all new electrical, new HVAC units, insulation. Everything that goes along with making a house up to current code is what is required to do. Now, what we're actually doing, and people may have seen this on our website at ibuychattanooga.com, is I've been putting some videos and some pictures there because the part of the house that was burnt, we actually are taking the roof off of that part of the house and we're putting in some new rafters. And so we can actually go in and design the inside of the house the way we want to. Probably what we're going to end up doing is putting in 3 bedrooms and 2 baths upstairs because it is a tri-level house, opening up between the kitchen and living room a little bit, and then downstairs making a very nice family room, playroom, and potentially you could add a bedroom in the bottom if you want to. But I think the interesting thing, and I think the reason I like doing what I do as far as with the properties is it's a good feeling to take a house that has been burnt or is in bad shape, rehab that house and make it a new home for somebody that can go in and make them and raise their family there. That's, of course, the financial rewards are good as well, but
hopefully we'll make a profit on that one. Yeah.
But it's also good to be able to provide a good home for somebody and to have a nicer place for the people in the neighborhood to be able to look at.
Yeah. And you mentioned we've got to bring everything up to code. Tell people what does that mean? I know you mentioned some things that we've got to do, but who sets the codes?
Well, the code people set the
code people, and who enforces the codes?
I don't know specifically. I mean, I think if I'm not, there's a group of people that set the standard, the code standards, and basically what a code is, folks, is when you build a house or rehab a house, the floors have to be built a certain way. The foundation has to be done a certain way. The footers have to be, the footers is what your house actually sits on. Those have to be done a certain way. And people with greater experience than us, have come together and thought, well, with the standard building code, it addresses everything. I mean, they tell you how far outlets need to be apart, what voltage you need to have coming to your, how many tons of air and heat you need for that specific house, what type of shingles that you need to use, what type of wiring. I mean, it goes into extreme detail about what you need to do when you're building or rehabbing a house and bringing it up to code. Now, we have people, there's two different code departments. One is for the city of Chattanooga, and they have guys that all they do, once you pull a permit, which you're required to pull a permit, and that's going down and giving the city a certain amount of money so you can go do the work that they require you to do.
You're giving, they're trying to, it's pay to play.
Pay to play. You're exactly right. And if you decide not to play, you're going to pay anyway.
Yeah, because they'll catch you.
If you get caught, you will get in trouble. But what these guys do is they have specific areas of the code that they enforce. For example, on framing. Framing is when you go into a house, you build your footers, you build your block wall or a concrete slab, and then you frame your house. When you see houses that are just look like they're skeletons, there's an inspection for that. There's an inspection for the insulation. There's an inspection for the plumbing. There's an inspection for the electrical. And what these guys do with the city, and the county has the same thing, is you call for an inspection. They actually come out and they'll look at the wiring to make sure that it meets code requirements. They'll look at all these different areas to make sure that they meet the standards that's required. Sometimes, I hope they're not listening right now, but sometimes personal preference comes into play. A couple of situations we have currently, but anything within code, we're happy to do. Personal preferences is one of those things that, we have to open that up for discussion.
Yeah.
But and all in all, it is a good thing. And the reason that the city and the county have gotten a lot more stringent on their, the code violations and also on the permits is because when rehabbing got real hot for a long period of time, you had people that were going out, not pulling permits. The house, when they were done with it, looked incredible, but it was an unsafe house because they hadn't done it to code. It could be electrical fires, could be water, and the plumbing could come bad. So as aggravating as it is, yes, it is one of those necessary evils, but it also helps the public understand that when you do get a house from someone like us who has pulled the permits, everything meets international code. It has been inspected by the city or the county, depending on where you are, and they've put their seal of approval on it.
Yeah. So essentially it is, although we talked about this on the last show about government intervention, we're not particularly crazy about a lot of that, but in some respects, the government does have the public's interest in mind. And I believe that the code enforcement folks are out there to truly protect the public, to make sure that, the house is safe, that there's not going to be any issues, that the contractors that are working on the house are doing what they're supposed to do. They're not cutting any corners. And that's one of the things that we try to do. What you mentioned, it's a great feeling when you can actually provide a home for somebody. We want them to, live in that home for many, many years, feel safe, feel comfortable, raise their family. So I do think it is a good thing. Yes, you're right. It can be somewhat of a challenge with scheduling and going through that process, but at the end of the day, I think it's better for everybody to do that.
It is for us. And in addition to that, we always encourage, which they do anyway, is for people to get a home inspection. Even though the city might sign off on that house, a home inspector is going to come in and crawl underneath the house, which we actually had a city inspector crawl underneath one of our houses the other day, which was very surprising to me. I've never seen that before. But they will actually get in and look at everything. And it's good for us because we might, our guys are there every day. We're not there every day, but our guys are there every day. They're seeing things every day. And just as you walk around your house, there might be a trinket there that's been there that you loved it in the very beginning, and now you don't even notice that it's there. And that's the same philosophy that happens when you're doing a house. So the home inspectors come in and they'll reveal things that maybe we've missed that we're happy to fix. And that just gives the homeowner that second assurance that the house is in good shape for them.
Right. Yeah. That home inspection part, obviously being an agent and representing my buyer clients, I encourage everybody to do that. We talked about how hot the market is right now. It's not that hot to where people are foregoing the home inspection. I've seen some people that will do that in order to give them an advantage over other buyers, maybe in a multiple offer situation, but definitely encourage that because the home inspector is kind of your last line of defense between you actually purchase that house. So he's going to be able to walk through the house. And it's funny that you mentioned it. I'm going to have one of Chattanooga's home inspectors on the show next week. So I think that'll be really interesting. We're going to talk about what they're doing, what their job is like, what they're looking for, and basically try to educate our listeners out there on that process and why it is so important. But yeah, absolutely. It is very important to do that. But yeah, we've got a couple other things going on. We've actually got a house in North Chattanooga that we just started working on. And that one I'm excited about. I think that is going to be an incredible house. We're going to try to tap into that North Chattanooga vibe, give people an incredible outdoor space, because I think that's one of the things you're seeing. We've talked about it before, is that community feel. People are starting to spend, more time outside of their house than inside of their house. So we know the rooms that people love are kitchens and bathrooms. It's interesting. I think there's been a study where people heat map a house to see how often people go into different rooms. And it's quite shocking that, you basically spend most of your time in the kitchens and the bathrooms, and obviously in your bedroom where you're just sleeping. So those are important rooms that we try to focus on to make those kind of the kitchen is the center point of the house. I actually had a buyer client that I was helping buy a house, and really when we went in to look at several houses, the one thing that made their decision on which house to choose was the kitchen and the openness and the centrality of it in the house, to where their family, mom's in the kitchen, she's not cut off from the rest of the house. The kids can pass through and actually have an interaction with everybody. So it's really interesting to see how folks, how folks' living habits are changing now.
Well, that's true, because the house I grew up in was built in, I think it was in 1920. It was over in North Chattanooga area, and every room was a box. The kitchen was its own box. There was a dining room in between the kitchen and a little breakfast area. Then you had the dining room that was a box. Then you had a formal living room. I wonder if anybody remembers what a formal living room is anymore. And then you had the den in the back, and it was a box. And there's been houses that we've gone into, and we've opened up 2 to 3 load bearing walls just to make everything open, because that's what people are wanting nowadays. And
it changes the house. It really does. I hate to say that a house is alive, but, a lot of times these houses have history. They've got, character to them, especially the houses that we're working on down in the Highland Park and the Orchard Knob area. And to keep that character, but go back and maximize the flow and the efficiency of the rooms of the house. It's really incredible to see how that takes shape, and to see folks come in and comment on, the feeling that the house, the warmth that the house gives you. I like to see that. It is definitely an exciting part of what we do.
Well, and a good example of that is go on our website and take a look at our Oak Street house.
Yeah.
There were, I think we had 2 or 3 load bearing walls that we took down in order to open the dining room and the kitchen and the living room area open. And because we did that, here again, we've talked about the code enforcement just a few minutes ago, as we had to put some extra supports in there for that to happen.
Yeah. So Raleigh's mentioned our website. We've got a couple ways for folks to follow us. We do have an I Buy Chattanooga Houses Facebook page that we are posting updates on houses. We try to do it at least multiple times through the week. So we will get into a little bit more discussion about what's going on in the Chattanooga real estate market. But this is Thomas DeMoss. I've got my guest here, Wally Reese. We look to have you guys back in a little bit, but check us out. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, I Buy Chattanooga Houses Facebook page. Take a look at those properties that we're working on and let us know what you think.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We are buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix? Behind on payments and facing foreclosure? Recently divorced and need a way out of the house? Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out? Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair cost. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM News Now. A 6-year-old boy was hit by a taxi cab in Dalton. Police say that the boy walked out into traffic. The taxi was only traveling 20 miles per hour. He says he didn't have time enough to stop. The 6-year-old boy was reported to be responsive at the scene. The young lad was taken to Erlanger Medical Center with a minor head injury. No charges are being pressed. In Rossville, a trio of scammers have been reported knocking on doors posing as newspaper salespeople. They are not. They're using it as an excuse to break into people's houses and steal items from their garages, according to members of the neighborhood. The police say if someone is acting aggressive on your doorway, lock the door and call the police. A new wrongful death lawsuit is being filed against Durham School Services and the Hamilton County School System and the Director of Transportation. The suit is filed by Demetrius Wilson, which says that her child suffered multiple serious injuries in the Woodmore bus crash and died 2 days later. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Gradually drying out through your afternoon with some sunshine trying to move in as well. Highs upper 70s. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows 53 to 55. For Friday, lots of sun, warm highs near 85, upper 80s, almost summer-like Saturday, a slight chance of a late storm. Are you hungry? Stop into KFC today for an extra crispy $20 fill-up. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Now at participating KFCs, prices may vary, taxes and substitutions extra. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Thomas DeMoss, and this is the Reality Real Estate Show, where we try to educate, entertain you guys about the Chattanooga real estate market, just real estate in general. I've got my guest here, Wally Reese. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm an active real estate investor here in Chattanooga. We've been buying houses for a little over 12 years now. I'm also an agent with Keller Williams Realty downtown. My cell phone number is area code 423-364-0028. And I guess you could say that I'm an agent who actually buys houses. We've got a website set up. It's ibuychattanoogahouses.com, where we are actively buying houses from people who need to sell them. So, and I've got my guest here, Wally Reese, with me. Wally, why don't you take just a few minutes to tell folks about yourself?
I'm a native of Chattanooga, born and raised here. I think we're kind of becoming a dying breed. There's not near as many. Well, let me back up. There's a lot more moving in town, I think, taking over. But born and raised here in Chattanooga. Went off back in when I was almost 22, went in the Marine Corps for 4 years, got back in. When I left in 86, came and got in my real estate business. Started off at Heritage Landing downtown. It's a very beautiful condo development right by GPS, and I've worked with 2 or 3 different major developers in town and started flipping houses in 05 and made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. But it's just something that once it gets in your blood, you just can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Absolutely.
It's always there.
Yeah. Real estate's fun. I tell folks who are trying to get into real estate, look, it's the turtle that wins the race, not the hare. This is a long game. Yeah. If you're looking for quick profits, you're not going to get it. I mean, you're going to flame out really quick because you've got to be, slow and steady. You've got to be methodical about what you do, whether it doesn't matter what type of real estate business you're in, if it's rental properties, flipping, whatever, you've got to be patient, because if you're not, this business will, it'll just wear on you. So
if you figure out how to make $1 million in your first year in the business, let us know.
Man, I'm telling you, that'd be awesome. Yeah, we would give you the radio show for sure. But no, we've been doing pretty good. We've had a lot of success lately. Wally, you mentioned something that's kind of interesting, and I don't know that most people know this. Once again, we're trying to educate people on the real estate process, kind of what goes on behind the scenes. But you had an interesting observation about deeds and how that works out. Can you tell our folks a little bit about what we talked about before? Yeah,
it's very interesting. Being in this business, we know a lot of title people. We have one specific one that we work with, and we were just in general conversation either before or after a closing, and the statement was made that have you ever looked at your deed? And I said, well, not really. I mean, it's a deed, and I put it back with all the rest of my files. And she said, if you look at your deed, you need to realize that your deed is not for your house. It's not for that physical constructed house that's on the property. The deed is for the land only. And I thought that was very interesting, because everybody thinks I got a deed to my house. Right. I got a deed to my house. Well, no, you don't. You've got a deed to the land that your house sits on.
That is true. Yeah. Land with a house is improved property, but you're right. The deed is actually tied to the piece of property. That's why you've got a tax map, a legal description of the property. Really the only thing that's included on the tax information is square footage of the house. Correct. So yeah, that is true. And it's interesting. I've talked to a lot of folks that may not be aware of the process to sell a house. They sometimes get confused that it's like selling a car, because there's a title to a car and there's a title to a house, but it is a lot more to that. One of the things that you've really got to make sure is that you've got a clear title to your house.
Very
you can't transfer or sell a property. But let me take that back. You can, but you can't get title insurance on that property if the title is what they call cloudy. So, and that can be a process in and of itself. But
what explain to the listeners exactly what title insurance? I mean, people hear title insurance. We paid lots of money for title insurance. What exactly is that? So, title insurance is a policy that the title company provides to you that gives you the assurance or what would I say? The coverage that you need if there comes back and there is a claim of ownership to your property. I've actually had this happen. We had bought a house a couple of years ago from 2 sisters here in Chattanooga
that claimed that they were the only owners of that property and the only heirs to their mother's estate. We had to move really, really quick because of the situation. They were going to lose the house. So we had to move quick. So we put our faith in their word.
Mm-hmm.
They signed an affidavit that said that, hey, they are telling the truth. Well, it was one of those things where I made the mistake and we didn't get title insurance because we didn't have time to get it. So I made a judgment call. We bought the house, and a year later, I got a lovely letter from a lawyer that said, hey, there are claims of ownership on that house from other heirs that were not notified. So that was not a good feeling to get that letter.
Mm-hmm. Has that been resolved?
It is in process. We'll put it like that. That, you know, the validity of the claim was not really there, but we are working towards a resolution on that process. But once again, you know, it's kind of one of those things, you don't know why you have it until you get affected by it. So
yeah, it's kind of like your homeowner's insurance.
Absolutely.
Your car insurance. You got it just in case.
Yeah. I hate paying it, but it's there when you need it. And it's definitely a good thing to have. So if you have an opportunity to get title insurance, I would say get it. And I think we're going to have one of our title company girls on here in a couple of weeks, hopefully, to educate you guys a little bit more about that title process. But that's just something to know. It's interesting. It's folks think, well, I've got the deed to my property, so I can just sign it over to you and the property is yours. Well, you know, it is a little bit more involved than that. So just be aware of that as you guys go.
There's always legal issues to everything.
There's always legal issues. You know, in
people
another
that make the money are the attorneys.
I tell you,
I didn't say that.
Yeah. In another life, I think I'm going to come back and be a lawyer. But no, I mean, they're very helpful as well. But no, it is interesting. There's so many different intricacies to the real estate business. You can't be an expert in all of them. So what I would tell folks is find those experts that are the experts, pick their brain, partner with them. It goes back to most, I guess the best advice that I got, and you hear this all the time for folks that are wanting to get into real estate investing, is you've got to have a good team around you. And man, I would say that is so true. You've got to pick good people to surround yourself with, because, you know, I don't ever really want to be the smartest guy in the room. If I do, the bar's set really low. So I want to surround myself with people who know more than I do, but can help me achieve my goals that I'm moving forward to.
It's just sounded good leadership right there.
Well,
real good leadership.
Yeah. I was listening to and you'll appreciate this being from the Marines, but a Navy SEAL said that the strongest attribute of a leader is his humility. And I'm thinking, and he went on to explain, you know, especially in the military, if you got a leader that's not humble, well, they're going to charge into anything thinking they know everything. They're going to put lives on the line, not asking for feedback where they may be wrong. So it was interesting to hear him talk about that. But
it is, and that's very true.
Absolutely,
that's very true.
So
just want to say something real quick. There's somebody on our Facebook Live that came up and said, "How expensive is title insurance?" I don't know if I can answer that question other than just saying, if I understand correctly, it is a percentage of what they're insuring.
Right.
I think it's just like your car insurance and your homeowner's insurance. It's just a percentage of whatever they're
of the purchase price.
Yeah, the purchase price.
Yes. And I
hope that answers your question. Check in a couple of weeks and we'll have the professional that can answer that question.
Absolutely. That goes back to surrounding yourself with the right people.
Absolutely.
But as we seek to kind of educate folks about real estate, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about different parts of the real estate market. You guys have probably been aware, you've seen the signs around, we buy houses, fast cash. You know, every time there's a infomercial seminar that comes through Chattanooga, you see the city just, what I would say, littered with those signs. There's a term for that. It would be called a wholesaler. Wally, can you tell folks what a wholesaler in the real estate investment business means?
Absolutely. And there, there's a lot of the TV personalities that come through. A lot of, most of them are good. There's some that aren't, but they're looking for you to purchase their program that teaches you how to invest in real estate. Well, what the first thing that they teach you to do is what they do call wholesaling. In wholesaling, I would go out I call Thomas up. Thomas has a piece of property that I like. We come to terms on on the terms of that number, which let's say is $20,000. Thomas and I write up a contract for $20,000, an agreement. I would put in there a 60-day close. Once I've got that contract in my possession and I have legal rights to that through that contract, then I will go out and I'll find Tom Smith, who flips houses, and I'll take that contract to Tom Smith and I'll say, Tom, I've got a piece of property at 123 Maple Street that meets your criteria or might meet your criteria, and I'm going to sell this contract to you. We'll just put it under contract for $30,000. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that I'm paying Thomas 20, Tom Smith is paying me 30, so I'm making a $10,000 profit. Typically, it's not that much, but you're essentially a wholesaler is just selling paper. They're selling that contract to the end user. Is it ethical? Sure, because if I'm out looking for pieces of property and I can't find one, and Thomas has got one that would be of interest to me and it fits my criteria, then sure, I'd be more than happy to purchase that from him. I think where the rub meets that situation is when you're not paying somebody somewhat of a fair market value for their property. Obviously, you want to get it for as least amount of money as possible, but you still want to be fair to that individual. Mm-hmm. But wholesaling is a lot. That's what when you see somebody or you call these We Buy Houses signs, that's what they're going to do. 90% of the time, they have no intentions on actually physically purchasing your house. They want to put under contract so they can sell that contract to another investor and make a quick dollar.
Yeah, and just so you know, what Wally's talking about is getting a legal binding contract between seller and buyer. And once you have that, the buyer has what they call an equitable interest in the property. So that contract is valuable in and of itself. Someone can take that contract and market it to someone else. It is perfectly legal. Mm-hmm. There are a few things that you've got to be aware of in that respect, as far as having a not real estate license and things like that. But it is perfectly legal. It happens. And what Wally said is just to be aware of. I would say, 90% of the time, the folks who have the We Buy Houses signs out there, they are not technically going to buy your house. They are going to put it under contract, establish that equitable interest, and then go and shop that contract to other investors. So what we've seen is that there are advantages to that. There are folks who need to sell a house. Obviously, we're buying houses with iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. I'd say the difference is our intent most of the time is to actually purchase the house for our rehabbing purposes. And Wally was made a good point. I mean, we're in this business to make a profit, but we try to be fair to everybody that's out there.
Because if you're not, it'll come back and get you.
Absolutely. And there are different circumstances to every transactions. You know, I've talked to some people that were they didn't care what the price was. They just wanted to get rid of the house because it was such a burden to them, and they had to get rid of it. So, there's a different facets to every transaction, but that is just something to be aware at. I don't know if, first of all, those signs are illegal. You had to bring that up. I had to bring that up. Sorry. Yeah. Those signs are illegal. People go about doing business different ways. We try to abide by the laws as we know them, try to treat people fairly. As we go into Chattanooga, obviously with what we're doing with renovating houses, I mean, our goal is to make Chattanooga a better place. And I think it's a blight on the city when those signs are going up. Just once again, that's just my rant. I don't think it adds value to anything. I think if you're in business, you should conduct yourselves in accordance with the laws that are out there.
Well, when you are a full-time wholesaler, and you're doing that, you're not in the real estate business. You're in the marketing business.
Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, the bandit signs is what they call them. We used to when I first got started.
They're bandits because they're illegal.
But the whole idea with that's probably the cheapest form of advertising what you do. And I've got some good friends that used to, years ago, they would hire college students and they would give them, 50 signs, and they would have certain places that they would go place those signs. And they got a lot of business from that. And but here again, that is the lowest cost form of advertising, is kind of throw it up against the wall. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And just to be fair, we do know, and we partner with some folks who would call themselves wholesalers. They are providing a value to the public out there. They are dealing with folks who have a desperate need to sell a house. So they are out there. And if you find yourself in that situation, we could definitely provide some names and contact information. But heck, call us.
Give us a call.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something that doesn't fit in our criteria, we'll be more than happy to to find somebody. And I think that's one of the things that I tell people, I know we do when we go chat with folks, is if it's not a piece of property that we're going to purchase ourselves, we'll let them know right up front. It's not the sleight of hand. We're going to put it under contract and we'll bring you something a little bit later and we got to close in 2 days. I mean, it's, used to it was that way, but let people know, just let folks know up front. If this is not something of interest to us, we do have other people in this business that we're going to be selling that house to, and they're perfectly fine with that as long as you just let them know up front. Yeah. And just kind of a funny story. I know we've had interactions with folks out there, and not everybody looks favorably upon, how we're talking to people about buying houses. I've even had some folks that I've called up and the statement was made, well, I'm not going to give you that house. And my reply was, well, you be the first to ever do that, because I've never had anybody give me a house. I'm still waiting for the day, because that means my sales technique has been perfected. It's got perfected.
It is perfected, but it's never happened yet.
Say, Thomas, we're going to give it to you.
Absolutely.
Not
never
taking any money.
Yeah. My wife. Yeah. That won't go for my wife, and it probably won't go for anybody else. But once again, my name's Thomas DeMoss. This is Wally Reese. This is the Reality Real Estate Show. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. We talked a lot about a lot of different things. But one of the things that we want to let you guys know is that we are here to help whatever your real estate needs are. I'm an agent with Keller Williams, so I'm working with buyers and sellers all day long. We're real estate investors. So we're rehabbing properties. We're making an impact on the community out there. We've not seen it all, but we've seen a lot. So if we can help you guys in any way with your real estate needs, please let us know. One of the resources that Wally has mentioned is our iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com website. If you find yourself in a situation to where you've got a house that you, and hear me out, need to sell, go to that website. There's a lot of information there that helps kind of educate you on the process of selling the house, what we do, as it relates to that website and the purposes that we have created it for. But yeah, we're kind of in a little bit of everything right now, but yeah.
Well, I want to add one more thing to that. Whether you have a house that you need to get rid of, not have, but either have to or need to, in your communities, in your areas, you may have that house in your neighborhood that has been foreclosed on, or maybe has burnt, or somebody has passed away and they just walked away, and the family members are out of town. They have no idea what to do with that, which we've run into quite a bit of. Now, give us a call. Go into our website, fill out the form, let us know. I mean, that's how we got the burn house. People across the street, Thomas and I both know, and they called us on this piece of property. And in the meantime, they've told us about another one right down the street from this. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for folks to help improve your neighborhood. Build more of a value in your neighborhood, because when we come in and get done with a house, it's going to be valued probably, hopefully, more than some of the others in the neighborhood.
If we've done our job right, it will be.
Yes. That's true. So just keep that in mind. Or if you're, and I'll go one step further, if you're out riding around in a different part of town and you see a vacant house, jot that address down and fill out our form on the website. Say, hey, was driving around, saw this house, thought y'all might be interested in it. And we'll be happy to contact you to talk with you about that specific house.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't be everywhere at once, so we definitely would love to have you guys help. I mean, it's just sad to see a house that's just sitting there, especially in some of these neighborhoods that are trying to transition in. Yeah, we want to. It's such an awesome feeling to be able to take something that had just sat forever and not been loved on. We'll come in there. I mean, I can't tell you the comments that we have from most of the neighbors that the projects that we're working on. They're so excited. Our project on Oak Street, that we got so many good comments from the neighbors.
About our neighbor.
Oh, go ahead.
Oak Street. Oh, this was incredible. We went after we got done with the project. Was down there one Saturday just making sure everything was in order the way it needed to be. Well, the neighbors next door have got a beautiful 2-level brick house. It's black and white, manicured lawn. I mean, it's just incredible.
It looks like the White House.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. They've been there for like 35 years. And she came out and she said, "Hey, have y'all sold the house yet?" And I said, "Yes." Well, she started dancing. Literally, she was dancing in her driveway. And then she had to come over and ask me a lot of questions. How much did you sell it for? You know, who bought it? What are these? What are these? What are these? And she just kept dancing. I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you sold the house. I'm so glad you sold the house." And her husband was kind of like, "Woman, you just kind of looking like her, like, okay." but that's a lot of the reaction that we get when we go into houses and we're going to places and redo these houses.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I mean, you know, what we talk about, the name of the show is Reality Real Estate. We are experiencing that reality, you know, on a weekly basis. The great thing about what we do is we're in it. We're doing this. You know, some of those reality shows, I wouldn't say there's much reality into them. They're great for entertaining, and hopefully we will be as well. But there is not a lot of reality in there. So definitely be aware of that. But no, man, we've got some great things going on. Once again, to kind of sum up, our Chattanooga real estate market is literally on fire, kind of playing off our burned house theme that we've got going on. But no, it is great right now. We've got a lot of new people moving in. I mean, I'm talking to people that are moving from the West Coast back to the Midwest. Because of the price points that are here. It is just incredible. I mean, folks can sell their houses in California for $500,000 and come back here and buy, you know, 2 or 3 houses. So
and that's about a 2-bedroom flat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not much of a house.
It's not much of a house at all, for sure. But no, once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss. I've had my guest here, Wally Reese, with me. We are active in the Chattanooga real estate market in many different areas. We'd love to have you guys reach out to us. We've got a Facebook page with I Buy Chattanooga Houses, Facebook page. We've got our website. You can reach both of us on the social media. We both have individual Facebook pages, Thomas DeMoss and Wally Reese. You can check us out, like what we do, give us comments. We'd love to have feedback. We thrive off of that. We like to hear what you guys think, like to hear what your opinion is of our projects. I mean, heck, we might even incorporate some of those ideas into the next
that's true.
Rehab that we're doing. So for sure. But yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us this week. Next week, check us out. We're going to have one of Chattanooga's home inspectors here. I'll keep his name in my back pocket, and I'll give him some grief. But anyway, we appreciate you guys joining us. This has been fun. I'm Thomas DeMoss, and this is Wally Reese, and this is the Reality Real Estate Show here in Chattanooga. Thanks, you guys, for joining. Y'all have a great rest of the week.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Confident, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas